Hello, hello, fiends, and welcome to another horrific edition of Casey's Creepy Creations. Tonight, we have a truly nauseating little nugget that I wrote and narrated, which I like to call Battle in the Bone Garden. This is the climactic chapter in the Dire Wolf Chronicles. As always, we caution that the above video is not suitable for children, and if you suffer from a weak heart, please watch at your own risk. As you may remember from our last episode, Korik believed he had found refuge in a colony of former military associates, only to discover that things were not as they seemed on the surface. Many of the colonists, including their leader, a former colleague of Korik's, were engaged in cultist activities aimed at bringing void entities into our universe. After a fierce battle, Korik and Zathira were victorious and all seemed right with the world until they discovered that one of their allies, Vex, made off with an ancient luminary artifact, and Zathira set off in search of him. The dead world hung in the void like a blackened skull. Korik stared through the viewport, his face set in lines of iron determination. 3 weeks hunting Vex, 3 weeks of horror beyond sanity's edge. The ship's scanners picked up thermal anomalies in the northern continent, living heat where no life should be. "We'll land at dusk," he said. Zaretha nodded silently, cleaning her plasma rifle with mechanical precision. Her eyes, once merely cold, now held a frozen hatred that would have chilled a lesser man. "He knows we're coming," she said. "Good." Korik checked his phase inverter. The device hummed with barely contained power, its crystalline matrix glowing with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around it. It had worked once. It would work again. The shuttle broke atmosphere through clouds that twisted unnaturally, forming patterns that hurt the eye and troubled the mind. Below, the landscape was wrong. Mountains curved impossibly, valleys ran upward, light hung in midair like frozen amber. "Reality cancer," Zaretha muttered, "spreading faster this time." They landed in what once had been a settlement. Now it was a charnel ground. The buildings remained, but they had merged with their former inhabitants. Walls rippled with half-formed faces. Doors moaned when opened. The ground beneath their boots squelched wetly, like flesh underfoot. The colony's central plaza held Vex's latest creation. Korik had seen two before. This was the largest. A garden of bones rose before them, intricate and obscene. Hundreds of skeletons, extracted whole and unbroken through the pores of their screaming owners, had been assembled into a lattice 20 feet high. The bones were warm to the touch, vibrating, singing a song just beyond human hearing. "He's improving his technique," Zaretha observed clinically, though her knuckles whitened on her weapon. Korik circled the bone garden warily. The psychic emanations brushed against his consciousness like ghostly fingers. Whispers filled his mind, pleas for mercy, promises of power, threats of violation so profound his sanity trembled. "Block it out," he commanded. "It's how he hunts now." A sound behind them, the wet slapping of boneless flesh on stone. They turned as one, weapons raised. What approached had once been human. Now it shambled on limbs that bent in too many places, its skin translucent. Behind it came others, a dozen, then 24, harvested corpses animated by the squirming parasites visible within their gelatinous forms. "Vex's puppets," Korik snarled. The creatures attacked with mindless ferocity. Zaretha's plasma rifle flashed, turning 3 to vapor. Korik's sidearm barked, each shot precisely placed, but the horde pressed forward, absorbing casualties with indifference. The Bone Garden empowers them, Zaretha shouted. We need to destroy it. Korik nodded grimly. They fought their way to the grotesque structure, back to back, weapons blazing. The boneless ones fell but kept coming, dragging ruined bodies across the ground, leaving glistening trails of fluid. Reaching the garden, Korik planted charges while Zaretha provided covering fire. The explosive's timer blinked. 10 seconds. Run! They sprinted for cover as the bone garden erupted in white fire. The explosion sent fragments of skeletal matter raining across the plaza. The boneless puppets collapsed instantly, their animating force severed. Silence fell, broken only by the soft patter of bone fragments settling. That was too easy, Zaretha said, eyes scanning the darkness. Laughter answered her, a sound like breaking glass mixed with a child's giggle. It came from everywhere and nowhere. Korik, my old friend, my determined hunter. The voice echoed from the ruins around them. Have you enjoyed my art? Vex stepped from a shadow that was too small to contain him. The man Korik had once called brother was gone. What remained wore Vex's face like an ill-fitting mask. His body bent at impossible angles. Where his right arm should have been, a writhing mass of tentacles swayed, each tipped with a tiny lamprey mouth. You've come so far to die, Vex said, his smile stretching literally from ear to ear, splitting his cheeks. I've come to end this, Korik replied, his voice steady despite the horror before him. Vex laughed again, the sound causing nearby rubble to levitate. End? There is no end, brother, only transformation. He stroked the artifact embedded in his chest, a pulsating crystal that glowed with sickly light. It showed me the truth. Reality is clay. Life is merely arrangement. You've killed thousands, Zaretha said, her voice tight with controlled rage. Killed? Vex seemed genuinely confused. No, elevated. Their bones sing now. Their flesh serves. Nothing wasted. As he spoke, the ground beneath them began to tremble. The reality cancer accelerated around them. Buildings melted like wax. The air thickened, becoming viscous. You feel it? Vex whispered lovingly. The thinning of the veil? Soon this entire system will bloom with new possibility. The old laws will fall away. Korik raised his weapon. Not today. Vex moved with unnatural speed, crossing the distance between them in a blur. His tentacle arm lashed out, wrapping around Korik's throat. The lamprey mouths bit into his flesh, drawing blood. I saved something special for you, Vex hissed, his breath smelling of rot and ozone. After all we shared, you deserve to know the truth. The tentacles tightened, and with them came visions, forced into Korik's mind with brutal precision. He saw Ilana, his wife, in their final moments together. The mission that went wrong, the Void Walker that took her life. But this time, he saw more. The knife, the murder weapon, held something within its hilt. A crystal, sister to the one in Vex's chest. And within that crystal, trapped like an insect in amber, was a fragment of Ilana's consciousness, experiencing her death in an endless loop. She's been dying forever, Vex whispered, his voice thick with perverse pleasure. Every moment, every day, feeling the blade, seeing your face as you failed her. Korik's universe contracted to a single point of rage. With strength born of hatred, he broke free of the tentacles, ripping them from his flesh. Blood poured from the wounds, but he felt nothing but cold purpose. You're lying, he snarled, though in his heart he knew the truth of it. Am I? Vex giggled, dancing backward with inhuman grace. Ask your new friend. The luminary knows. They always knew what the artifacts could do. Zaritha's face betrayed nothing, but Korik saw her grip tighten on her weapon. Later, she said, kill him first, truth after. Vex raised his arms, and reality buckled around him. The ground rippled outward in waves. The air crystallized into shards that hung suspended, reflecting light that shouldn't exist. Behind him, the ruins of the bone garden began to reassemble, fragments flying through the air to create a grotesque throne. You can't kill what I've become, Vex said, settling onto his throne of reconstructed bones. I consume myself daily and am reborn stronger. The artifact demands sacrifice, flesh for power. As if to demonstrate, he bit into his remaining human arm, tearing a chunk of his own flesh. Blood gushed from the wound, but instead of falling, it gathered in midair, coalescing into squirming, eel-like parasites that dropped to the ground and burrowed into the earth. The ground erupted as fresh horrors emerged, not the boneless puppets from before, but half-formed abominations that were neither fully flesh nor fully bone. They surrounded Vex like an honor guard. Your move, brother, Vex smirked. Korik met Zaritha's eyes. A plan formed between them without words. They had trained for this moment through 3 star systems of pursuit. Zaritha opened fire, her plasma rifle cutting through the abominations with surgical precision, not killing them, hurting them. Each shot drove the creatures into a tighter formation around their master. Korik activated the phase inverter. The device hummed to life, reality rippling around it as it began to gather power. Vex's eyes widened as he recognized the technology. That won't work on me, he shrieked, suddenly less confident. I'm beyond your science. It's not for you, Korik replied. He tossed the device into the heart of the abomination swarm. Zaritha's next shot hit it square, rupturing its containment field. The effect was instantaneous. A sphere of perfect stillness expanded outward. Within its radius, reality froze, not in time, but in state. The malleable chaos of the reality cancer solidified into unchanging crystal. The abominations caught in the effect became statues, their twisted forms locked in eternal immobility. Vex screamed as the edge of the effect touched his throne. Bone fragments crystallized, the psychic emanations silenced. He leapt away, but not before his legs were caught in the expanding sphere. From the chest down, he was transformed into the same crystal substance as his creations. What have you done? He howled, trying to drag himself away. Stabilized reality, Korik said, advancing with cold purpose. The phase inverter doesn't destroy, it fixes, makes things what they truly are, unchangeable. Vex clawed at the ground, leaving furrows in the earth as he tried to escape. The artifact in his chest pulsed frantically, trying to warp reality around him, but within the influence of the inverter, its power found no purchase. Please, brother, Vex whimpered, his arrogance evaporating. We can share power. I can show you wonders beyond imagination. Korik knelt beside the transformed thing that had once been his friend. With deliberate calm, he removed a knife from his belt, the same knife that had taken Ilana's life. The artifact does contain a piece of her. I've carried her with me, trapped in her moment of death. He placed the blade against the pulsating crystal in Vex's chest. Now I free her and end you. The knife plunged downward, shattering the artifact. Light exploded outward, not the sickly glow of corruption, but a pure radiance that washed over the crystallized landscape. Vex's body convulsed, then stilled, the light fading from his eyes. Korik turned to the knife in his hand. Its hilt glowed briefly, then cracked. A wisp of luminescence rose from the broken crystal, a suggestion of a female form, a hint of a smile, and then nothing. Released. Zaratha approached cautiously, surveying the transformed battlefield. Everything the phase inverter had touched remained crystallized, a memorial in crystal to Vex's victims. "It's over," she said. Korik nodded slowly. "This hunt is, but there may be others." He looked up at the sky, where stars shone unnaturally bright. The artifacts came from somewhere. Something created them. "And we'll face that too," Zaratha replied, "but today we won." They stood together as dawn broke over the crystallized landscape. The reality cancer had been halted. In the systems Vex had corrupted, the effect would gradually recede. Physics would reassert itself. The natural order would return. Korik looked at the broken knife in his hand one last time, then let it fall among the crystal formations, a fitting grave for both villain and victim. "Goodbye, Ilana," he whispered. "Be at peace." The two hunters turned away from the field of crystal statues. Their ship waited. The stars called. The galaxy would heal from Vex's corruption, as all wounds heal with time. And if other horrors lurked in the dark between stars, they would face those too. Together. Well, boils and ghouls, we've come to the end of yet another terrifying tale. If you'd like for us in the Writer's Tomb to create any more episodic content for you, let us know in the comments below. If you've liked what you've seen, please feel free to drop us a like, a comment, or maybe even a subscription. They may seem like little things to you, but they mean a lot to us here at the Dungeon. If you liked the video and would like to find out how it was made, click the link in the description below. I am affiliated with Flicky AI and will receive commission if you decide to make a purchase. They also have a free plan as well if you would like to try it out. And by the way, if you like what we've got for you here, then maybe you might want to check out these other YouTubers: Overlord DVD, Theta Zord, Osaka Chandal, and Stark of Iron. Links in description. They're to die for. Thanks, and unpleasant dreams until we meet again.